begins with our mission and values, a culture of innovation and collaboration, achieving a global perspective beyond the classroom, turning education and theory into practice, developing lifelong interests and connections, and striving to make a difference in our communities. Marist College.
Hello, folks, and welcome back. We are here in week 8 with EGF. Sir Waltham and Dryad here leading the charge into it's only been our second match of the night. A couple of different disconnects happening for some of these teams, but no matter. We are here. We are ready to see Marist versus the University of South Alabama, and Dryad, Marist definitely has the numerical advantage, 5-1 in their scoreline over 0-7, I believe, for South Alabama.
Yeah, absolutely. So the score is not ideally going to tell us much about this match. Hoping that week after week, South Alabama has been trying to make a couple of changes. They've also had to face some very tough opponents, right? So that plays part on the score that we have right now. And hoping to get... This is essentially last week that we're going to have. So hoping to get out a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking historically at South Alabama, it's not been a great run for them for this first semester. Of course, there is always the second one as we look ahead, but coming in here, they are tied for that last place spot with Villanova, at least as of before the broadcasts happened today. So if they're even looking to take one map, that's going to put them in a pretty good spot over their opponent. But looking at those maps, we're going to be starting off on Ilios, which we should be going to here in just a second. Right now, as a matter of fact, after that, Blizzworld and then Volskaya. More maps as necessary later.
Starting with Ilias, once again, always looking pretty interesting in this map where we know there's so many different possibilities. And I think Marist, they've proven themselves to play a bunch of different heroes, a bunch of different compositions as well, that allow them to shine a little bit more. So I want to see if there's going to be a counter coming in for the side of South Alabama, or if they're going to play a little bit more to their strengths. We know that this map is very well known for the dive that you can play, but nonetheless, it's not really a surprise when you see something else coming up.
As we can see now, Marist College going to be locking in with a rather fast composition. Taze, Trader, both on those very mobile tanks. It's going to be the Wrecking Ball and the Diva coming out. South Alabama also trying to match some of that speed. The Winston, the Diva coming out in a similar fashion. And looks like Marist is going to take it to the skies early on. It's going to be Face Misk trying to get some early damage with that Pharah. Maybe punish some bad positioning out of South Alabama. We'll see exactly where those rockets and those concussions land. But right now, Nanomech just trying to find some sort of angle to go in on. Can't quite make the location, so it's going to be their team just hopping straight onto point, trying to get some early pressure applied there. But Face Misk going to be applying early kills coming with that Pharah. Once again, now South Alabama in a struggling spot. It's going to be both supports and tanks left up, and then just like that, taken down again.
The eliminations continue to come through for the set of Marist as expected, with already a barrage about to be ready and available. Just a little bit more damage that is going to be needed for the set of Face Misk to make it possible. But while South Alabama comes in slowly, trying to get anything going, you're depending on your Ana being able to build that nano to initiate next fight. So it's all about eating and getting some damage done so you can get the nano as soon as possible.
And speaking of that nano, it's going to be Aum who has one up. It's going to be one member gone for both sides, but South Alabama now losing both of their supports. No healing left available, and Taze trying to just bowl around on point, trying to survive as long as possible and just let this fight go on longer. Again, the longer South Alabama has to fight, the less healing they get throughout.
A couple more kills again, and one by one, everyone from South Alabama falls. At least they're making it quick fights, but again, you're relying only on your nano, and it seems like that is not even going to work out. Switching from the Winston to the Reinhardt that we see coming through for Nanomech right now. Hoping to bring a change in a little bit more of the rush style composition, but the question is, how long is it going to take this team to build ultimates?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. You said it right there, Dryad. They're going to have to rely a little bit more on the raw mechanics for these next couple of fights, but Face Misk just dropping the Rockets barrage onto Nanomech, taking them out of the fight early on, and because of that, South Alabama looks a little bit neutered here. They can't quite push forward, and they just get surrounded, allowing these Rockets to come in from every single opening.
One by one, again, they continue to fall. Face Mask being able to initiate that last fight with the barrage and continuing to get the kills, having no fear to go in and clean up when the team needs him to. As University of South Alabama, we saw the first kill that happened was for Nanomag, got taken down early on, and that denies any possibility that the Nano is going to come in this time around for both of the teams, but it seems like it was way too early for Alabama.
It was just a quite bit early, and Jaxrum not going to be able to get too much value out of that nano boost. Instead, just going to be trying to match Marist College's flying potential with a little bit of hit scan. Didn't quite work out for them, though, although Lighthouse perhaps one of the more viable maps for it. I don't expect to see the Pharah on Ruins, although Marist might surprise me.
There's still the possibility, right? For a team like this one and for how confident Marist feels, there's always a possibility to see something that we haven't seen yet before, but the couple of changes are going to be made. And for me, South Alabama, many, if not most of the players, they couldn't even build an ultimate throughout the entire map that we just saw. So that is going to be the key for me, just looking at putting that pressure, putting that damage in to build those ultimates and take the advantage fight after fight.
South Alabama going to be using one hit scan in the form of that Bastion, but might be a little difficult to get that Bastion set up and get into a position where they can really take advantage of Marist College's tank line. See if they're able to find it. Taze already creeping around into the back end. University of South Alabama seems completely oblivious to this. Pile Driver goes in, gets a lot, but the Immortality Field keeps them all up, allows them to all get healed up. Trader's shield immediately getting torn down, but with enough time for Alm to get the kill onto the Bastion, things looking fairly even on both sides. But with Taze going off the map, things might be looking a little bit more favorable towards South Alabama. They just need to maintain this fight. Losing their D.Va's not the way to do that. Gets taken down by the hip fire. Emerald throwing in some dynamite for good measure. Just like this, it looks like Marist are going to be starting to take this point presence.
A little bit more needs to be done in order to take control of the point as the Arisa falls. Everyone else in South Alabama does as well. They have to back up, and even with the Bastion is not going to be enough. You don't have a lot of speed to get to point or to even back up, so the kills continue to come in, and that is just going to create even more space for what we see Marist College doing. And if that wasn't enough, then you also have the ultimate coming in for both of the tanks of this team.
This is exactly what I worried about when I saw South Alabama's composition. That Bastion just not being allowed to set up for free. We're seeing Marist College get very aggressive coming out, just preventing that pressure or causing that pressure to be applied. Face Mask almost has their Pulse Mine online as well. Can sink that onto Maru-chan or Seraphal, force out some crucial abilities. See if they even need it. It's going to be the Gravitic Flux coming in, takes down the Bastion early on, forces out the Immortality Field as well. Face Mask almost walking into their own mine, but instead just going to be taking on the Baptiste with it. Looks like University of Alabama are barely going to be able to see the points.
One of my favorite compositions or favorite uses of ultimates that we see for this composition is that you get to use the flux that is going to force the immortality, and then you use a pulse bomb guaranteeing a kill and guaranteeing that there is no protection for the Baptiste. That is exactly what went down for South Marist College, taking the advantage once again and about to pass the 70%. To start it off though, this is looking good for South Alabama. They do get one pick, but what do they do with it?
South Alabama no longer running that extremely fast composition that we saw in the last map. Now it's going to have to be that Ori who tries to just lead their team onto the front, but that bomb cuts everybody off. Nobody able to get past him. In fact, have to take the time to kill him outright. And in the meantime, Emerald's just taking heads like an executioner over here. Meanwhile, Marist College continuing to get this point progress, and it doesn't seem like South Alabama have the manpower to touch.
Seems like nothing else can be done, and Marist College will be getting to 100%, especially with the slow composition that South Alabama was playing from the beginning to end on this map of Ruins, where they didn't have any speed, they didn't have any advantage to get to point in time, and with that, it's going to be Marist College taking us to a 1-0.
A very good start for Marist College so far, at least against their opponents here. Not showing any cracks in the armor. I mean, look at this aggression from Face Mask, just taking that battle in a small hallway to the Reinhardt. That shows some level of confidence against their opponents.
Of course, and even with the Pharah, everything that we saw was really good towards the beginning. It was using and working with your teammates, knowing when you had to back up a little bit more, knowing when you could play aggressive with that barrage and guaranteeing a couple kills for your team. I'm not really surprised to see all the damage coming in from this player. And we know Maris, this is a team that has been playing for so long in collegiate, and even if they change players, even if they change a little bit of who they are still one of the top teams that we have here in EGF.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were one of the teams a season or two ago, a semester or two ago, I should say, where they just ran the field. They didn't drop more than one map, much like this season. So they're going to be looking to keep that trend right on. And South Alabama would be pretty pleased to even take a map off of them. Like I said, that taking a map merely might be enough to get them out of that last place spot. At least a little bit of a Pyrrhic victory, if not one for huge prestige.
Yeah, of course. And we got to see, depending on the map as well, what they can do. That there's maybe a map that can benefit the side of South Alabama a little bit more, depending on what they like to play. Because what we've seen so far doesn't really show us too much, right? We saw a double shield coming in with a bastion in a map where it doesn't really make sense for you to be playing that unless you're playing it from the beginning, taking control of point and being able to hold that point with that composition of double shield and bastion. If it's not like that and you keep forcing it, then it is just going to affect your team in the long run, which is exactly what we saw. But maybe other maps are going to enable something like that for success. And I'm thinking of something like, well, let's say Blizzard World that we're gonna see next can work, right? On the
Okay.
defense, you have the double shield and it can connect pretty well. And even in Volskaya, but that is only on the defense, right? If they're attacking, I do want to see those faster heroes coming in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Blizzard World, one of those maps that I think you don't get nearly as much value out of that Bastion as you would on Volskaya. I mean, this is all talking about Bastion as a base character slotted in with any other heroes, right? I think he could really shine on Volskaya. That being said, if they have a very competent sim that allows them to teleport between the two sides of the map, allow them to really maneuver a whole lot of different angles that keep Marist College on their toes, but even that's going to be a feat against this team right about now. Either way, Blizzard World is going to be our next map, and we kind of hypothesized a little bit, Dryad, about what might be good for South Alabama. But if you're Marist, do you just keep going what you ran on Ilios, or do you think you try to change it up here?
There's definitely going to be a couple of changes here, and again, it goes back to what we were talking at the beginning. And is that Marist College, they're good at playing many different compositions, and it seems to me that they have a better understanding, really, of what compositions work best on what maps. So in this map, for example, we're already going to be seeing a double bubble coming in, which I already think is the best, or at least one of the best compositions that we can see in the first and second part of the map. Maybe bringing a couple of changes for the third part of the map. So it is already looking good, even with a couple of changes coming in. You're still gonna have the core compositions that you would be expecting here.
So we can see Marist College still not taking any pressure off of the skies. It's going to be Kane coming in on that Echo. No more face misk, who we saw on the Pharah early on. Now, as we look ahead, South Alabama continuing to try to just find any angle of entry they can here. Worth noting that Nanomech on this Sigma means they're not going to have a huge amount of shields, although Marist College not the biggest amount of shield break either, so Nanomech might have a little bit of a reprieve there, but there's not going to be any reprieve for Seraphal, who gets immediately taken out of this fight. Has to be way out of position to get taken out by a Winston like that, with Taze taking very little damage, relatively speaking. And South Alabama just need to recompose themselves, analyze the composition of Marist, maybe take a little bit of time, but eventually figure out what weaknesses they can exploit.
You gotta see what can be done here for this set of South Alabama as they're fighting to get the point, as they're fighting to get a little bit of space, a little bit of kills here. And they're going to put that pressure in, but it gets always denied every single time, as they're all playing together, pretty much hiding from the enemy.
That was actually some fantastic peel coming in from Nano Mex Leafless, almost getting tased down by Taze, and immediately just getting hit by that accretion, rather the Winston is. But so far, Marist College coming up bigger with the kills. South Alabama trying to get the res out, but can't quite make it happen. Now it's just Jaxrum trying to hold their own, but there's only so much you can do.
Absolutely, there is only so much we can do, and there's only a couple kills that we've been trying to see coming in for the side of South Alabama. It seems like they are very hesitant to go in and to play aggressive, right? It's just Marist College taking all of the space that they want to in any area that they want to. So the attacking side has difficulty coming in. Hopefully trying to change it around again, switching to the Reinhardt.
And already I feel like we're seeing a little bit of desynchronization between the team of South Alabama. We saw half the team, Neptunica and company, up on that high ground while Nanomech started to rotate through the low. So perhaps just the overall coordination, not necessarily up to chalk on this South Alabama team, but now they are all regrouped. It's going to be the Nano to Winston coming in. Taze dealing a lot of damage. The focusing beam from Kame certainly not going to help either. And the Genji goes in with the Nano Blade, trying to find something, with the Dry Blade, but not going to be able to find too much as the rest of South Alabama gets cleaned.
About a minute 30 remaining for the side of South Alabama. Gonna make one change, at least for now, is gonna be Sleepless going into the Soldier. I don't know what you can do with a Soldier, honestly. At this point, there's not many ultimates. You're maybe relying on the Nano again for the side of South Alabama to get anything done. The support ultimates are the biggest hope that this team has.
But you have to be very careful if you are South Alabama, despite how many support ultimates you might have in pocket, up to 2. Marist College still has 5 ultimates in the bank, including Emerald. Seraphal gonna have to be very careful. They use that Coalescence and Emerald within dashing range, immediately can sink that Moira with no recourse. But right now, Emerald just playing it nice, calm, steady, knows the time pressure is gonna be up onto South Alabama. Pulse Bomb goes out into the grab and manages to get one, but it's that Reinhardt. That means no more damage mitigation coming in from South Alabama. Save that Diva Matrix. Emerald able to take down one more. Winston jumping up onto high, and Kane with a very long reach focusing beam getting the Soldier.
There's going to be one more opportunity to be able to touch the point here, and it's gotta be maybe the Diva. She tries to come in. Maybe the Moira, most likely, more than anyone else. The only kill that we saw on that fight coming in for the side of South Alabama was the Soldier being able to take one down with him. But besides that, there's no time remaining, and you're just hoping to touch, hoping for a miracle here.
And that miracle's gonna be woken up very quickly as Taze goes in with the Nano. Neptunica throwing in the bomb, though. It's gonna be the Reinhardt getting 2. Nanomech being kept alive by Coalescence, by that Nano going out. Kane getting slept and not woken up by the side of South Alabama. That is gonna be valuable for reducing their attack visor. It's gonna be the Reaper trying to creep up onto them, but not able to find too much. Kane immediately burned down by the attack visor of Sleepless now. Just like this, South Alabama at least getting some progress on the board. Taze look like they're going to jump in fact, do immediately get whittled away. And just like that, it's going to be South Alabama getting the first point at the very least.
Cesaria from Andrew has to back up, has no time, has no space remaining, cannot touch towards the end, and will be taken down by the enemy team. That was a perfect opportunity, and that is where you see how much you can do with ultimates, with the ultimate advantage even there, initiating with the Coalescence, and even using the Nano to play a little bit more aggressive with the rest of the team. It worked out perfectly for the side of South Alabama, so now it seems like they realize their win condition is going to be using those ultimates, but it's gonna be once again going to the poke phase and trying to build them as soon as possible as Emerald gets shot down immediately.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan was playing a rogue class in D&D, got immediate backstab damage, and just like that, South Alabama up in a very good way. Jackstrom has that Death Blossom. The Earth Shatter's big, goes in with the Death Blossom, isn't able to find anything with it. That pin taking everybody away, but still, the damage might have already been done on Marist.
2 ultimates though. 3 ultimates in fact used on that last fight, only for a couple kills that came in. And now Marist College is going to walk out with potentially a Shatter, potentially as well a Visor all the way in the back. Crit playing so aggressive here and guaranteeing a little bit of kills that need to come through in the second point.
Kane just creeping in those bushes, waiting for anybody to come through. Couldn't quite find the kill, but the opposing Soldier will be taken down by the Cassidy from Kane's company. And now as we look here, Marist College successfully fought back into Pylon. They're going to be able to fight a good distance from here.
50 seconds remaining and potentially one more fight for the side of South Alabama on the attacking side. They have the same win condition that they had last time, and that is the Coalescence to initiate the fight, but they really have to initiate with it more than anything else, just giving that extra confidence, that extra healing that the team is going to be needing, especially that Reinhardt as he's phasing and going in before everyone else.
Also keep eyes out for Neptuno, that can really cause some disruption here up on the pylon, especially with a little bit of the wideness that Marist is playing with right now. Taze has the Earth Shatter, goes for it, only hits the Diva. Taze getting 2 off the back end of that, an incredibly valuable play coming in. It's gonna be the Diva Bomb coming on the line, but not finding anything. Neptunica not able to respond with it fast enough. It's gonna be Taze swinging for the fences. The Ghastly getting 2 kills as well over time. Not gonna be a factor in this fight. Nobody able to touch. And now, Marist have a line in the sand.
The last couple kills that continue to come through as expected for the South Marist College, but they did lose one fight right throughout the entire map. They lost the fight that cost them that first point, and that was the key for South Alabama to push the payload into second. So now it is when, if you're South Alabama, ideally you bring a little bit more of what we saw even towards the beginning. It was a double shield. If that is a composition that they like working with and they feel comfortable working with, just to continue having that space into first, and I'm all in for it. I want to see them putting a fight, putting a challenge into Marist College, who have been staying on top, and South Alabama had some good signs of it. So yeah, it seems like it's most likely going to be that Orisa, and then a diva, but I don't know how to feel about that. So sure, you're gonna have the high ground potential. You're gonna be able to dive and to also support the backline a little bit more. But at the same time, Orisa Diva is one of the most difficult compositions to play.
Yeah, certainly doesn't feel like a conventional choice, but conventional for South Alabama might just include this Bastion once again. You know you're gonna have to hold this first point at least for quite a while, if not preferably for the entire thing. So that Bastion can definitely make things difficult, but there's no quick rotation tools coming through here. We're gonna be seeing Sleepless just pretty much have to be planted up here onto this high ground with just Jaxram and their supports keeping them alive. But with the Brig, what do you swing at? What do you flail at? You just have to try to keep Taze off your team, but the double bubble is going to prevent a lot of that CC as we see them initially taking a little bit of damage. South Alabama going to be able to be healed up pretty readily, though. Marist College looks like they might immediately try to push up onto this high ground. At least poke at it with that Echo. Sleepless almost getting taken down, but a nice shield coming in. Taze on the coordination with an anti-nade, going to be taking down 2 members. A little bit of help from Emerald, and now it's going to be South Alabama having to rotate back onto point. Not able to find anything, as we can just see a couple members left remaining. Marist College are going to have an easier time pushing into this.
The kills that are going to come through as well for Kane, who continues to get 1 by 1 with that Echo that can be so powerful, is going to guarantee the point for the South Marist College. And it only took 1 fight. It took a little bit longer for that fight, but it was still effective. And with that, they're going to have so much time to work towards the second point. As Marist College, they want to take this fight right now.
No surprise here. Marist College still running it forward, trying to snowball as much as they can. Kane taking down 1 means South Alabama not going to get the opportunity to compose themselves. With that duplicate already online, it's going to be Marist who can just continue getting this aggression going and pushing as hard as you can. If you're South Alabama, you know you have maybe 1 or 2 more fights, but the more you give up in terms of space, the less opportunities you have.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. The payload is going to continue to move, but all the kills are happening right where the payload needs to stop. So it is once again the dominance coming through for the South Marist College, having 5 ultimates available, potentially 6 for 1 more fight, 1 more chance that they're going to have here on the second map.
They'll have to make it count. They'll have to make it count many times over, but it's going to be the grab locking everybody down. Anti-nade tries to go in, but both were only able to get 1 kill with the standard shots. And now, just like this, the tanks are getting caught up in trying to fight this Winston, trying to fight this Zarya. They're not able to focus too much on Cart. Neptunica eventually going to realize that's where they need to be. Fly themselves over there, but it might be a little too late. There's nobody to back them up. The Reinhardt's already dropped. Casty getting juggled by the Winston now and going to be put into the pit as Marist College come out victorious on Blizzard World for their second.
Match point already. Oh, thanks to Marist College being able to stay on top of the game from beginning to end. A single fight that was lost and every single one that was won for them. So looking so good, looking so dominant for them, and only 1 more to go. Not even the changes being brought up by South Alabama seem to be enough.
Yeah, South Alabama in a very difficult spot, but if anything else, they might be able to take some learning away from this. Of course, we do have you know, a little while until our next semester does start up. But let's not count them out of this fight just yet. We are going to be taking a quick break and seeing when we come back if they can pull back some more wins. So stick around, folks. Hello, folks. We are back. No time for intermissions. We are heading straight onto Volskaya and South Alabama, straight into a downhill position where they need to come back a 2-0 scoreline from Marist. That is a tough ask, Dryad.
It's going to be tough, but you gotta take it step by step to get anything done, especially here in Overwatch, where look at who's playing the double shield now. It's gonna be Marist College bringing it in. No Bastion, but still is going to be the Arista and the Sigma, who work pretty well on this map. I mean, even after so many changes that we've seen throughout a year, even a little bit more, this one seems to be one of the best metas to bring in Volskaya. So I want to see what they can do, especially with Face Mix playing, of course, on the Torbjorn.
You can see Face Mist already just firing some of that spam damage, some of those rivets into those small buildings, but not able to find too much damage with it, but keep the pressure up, perhaps most importantly. South Alabama continuing to take free damage towards Marist College, and Marist College not really getting punished too much for it. South Alabama smartly going for this high ground. The question remains, what can they really achieve with it? Kane pretty much uncontested on that side angle, able to just fire logs at the opposition. A nice accretion halt combination coming in from Marist, and not much being done. Face Mist getting knocked off the high ground might be a valuable opportunity, but with Seraphal going down, no damage amplification, no healing as well, aside from Maruchan. But now South Alabama might have just lost too many players in this fight, especially with that Reinhardt going down. No opportunity for that free damage behind shields.
And I actually really like the fact that Marist College, they dropped from the high ground because they knew there was a possibility for South Alabama to push into the point as well. And that would have given them more space. So they denied that space immediately with both of the tanks as well jumping in, denying that possibility. And now just making that rotation, going to the other side of the high ground. Everyone kind of spreading all across the defense and continuing to poke the damage, try to build those ultimates.
We can see now Sleepless continuing to take to these skies, forcing Alm out of position, or at least behind cover, I should say. They can't get those charge shots for free. They can't get the damage out as easily with the Discord Orb. And Alm gonna now start to focus those high ground characters. Not gonna be as beneficial, but a Dragon certainly will be. Kane gonna be throwing in a ton of damage into that small hallway. Everybody from the side of South Alabama forced to back out, try to regroup themselves. Ana not quite able to get away. Alm on a killing spree.
Getting a couple kills, and it seems like every time we see him, he misses a couple shots, but then out of nowhere, he's able to connect them perfectly. So really good job from this player, cleaning up the fight and also taking advantage of the damage that everyone else was putting in. And there's only a minute 30 now. It's 1-2 more fights maybe, depending on how long South Alabama wants to extend them. They have no lose here, so they don't have that speed to work with. They're just relying on the Reinhardt to open up and put the pressure into point.
Fortunately, they're dealing with Face Mist's deployables early on. Trader's just trying to push into that small building, but Sleepless not able to get any rockets, any damage into them. Going to be Traders who has that fortify, able to keep themselves up, pull everybody into a very uncomfortable position from South Alabama. Just like that, Gravitic Flux is going to go in, gets 3 kills, 1 on the lift, 2 on the drop down. And now with this, things are not looking great for South Alabama. 1 minute left.
There's just nothing to work with, really, because Marichan for the side of South Alabama got taken down early on, and that was the only possibility to maybe keep someone alive when the Flux came in. And even that possibility was denied. So one more fight, as expected. Trying to put a lot of damage. Junkrat going pretty low, managing to stay alive as Traders and the rest of the team starts to back up the point.
It's just about slowing down South Alabama as much as you can early on, so they feel a little bit more pressured towards the back end of the fight. Face Mist has this Molten Core online. Doesn't even need it, just takes down Reinhardt with a Rivet Gun. Look at the Rocket Barrage coming in from Sleepless, finding nothing but an Immortality Field. Jackstrom able to take down 1 with the tire, but that's not going to be enough, it seems. Ana caught on the low ground with the rest, and this is where we see Face Mist start to cut off some of those entry points. Going to be the Diva Self-Destruct coming out. Neptunica not able to get remech, does take down Kane, however, not going to matter. Overtime burns down just like that. Marist College only have to get 1 tick.
Only 1 to take the victory of this match. And this map as well, I guess. So everything working out pretty well. Marist College, of course, like I said, being one of the top teams that we have here in EGF. Haven't had a perfect run throughout all the teams that they face, but nonetheless, it's been really good. I believe, actually, this is a team, or this is a college that won esports program of the year for the esports award. So that just says of how much they really care about esports and the scene that they have in that university. And it really shows, even looking at the players, looking at matches like this one, when they manage to stay so dominant, they are always in control. They only lost 1 fight so far still, so they have all the potential to win this one as well. But like you said, it's going to be the 33% to guarantee that.
And now, as we take a little bit of a look for what these teams are going to be rolling out with, South Alabama going with the Ryan Diva once again. Not too much changing up in their composition. I think Maruchan was using the Ana beforehand. Not going to be opting into the Nano this time around, instead swapping it out for an Immortality Field and the Amplification Matrix. See if they can find a little bit more advantage for it there. Marist College look like they might be running the Hack Dive. We haven't seen that in a while, but I'm up here for it.
And I want to see how it is able to work, especially with a Winston and that Genji that I'm looking at right now for Sarah Marist College. It's going to be all about going in, ideally trying to get a couple hacks, capitalizing out of the hack, and just getting that 33% again.
Oh, it looks like they're just going to give it to him. South Alabama just taking themselves off the map. No need for formalities. Marist College going to be coming up pretty clean with that. An unceremonious end, I got to say, from South Alabama, but it seemed like they knew where it was heading.
Absolutely, and so with that is going to be the victory coming in for Sarah Marist College. Another one for them because they can never have enough, and that is what I love to see in teams like this one playing. Honestly, very, very good compositions. I mean, even if they knew there was a gap between the two teams, they always knew what was the right thing to play, right? We didn't see any crazy picks coming in from them. It was probably everything that they like to practice. So it worked out really well, and they take the 3-0 victory.
Yeah, so far it seemed like a fairly easy set of 3 maps for Marist College, even coming off with almost a half free Volskaya. So overall, excellent performance here. We're going to get a little bit of an insight into the mind of what was going into Marist College on the back end of this break. But stick around, folks. We'll be right back with an interview. Hello and welcome back, folks. We are here in the interview booth, my favorite part of these segments, to be honest. And we are sitting here with Ohm from Marist College. Ohm, hello, welcome, and a quick congratulations tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Now, I just want to go into this. It was a very quick game. I don't really have too many questions for it, if I'm being sincere. But I do want to know, what is Marist's plan for this break now that we've just finished our last game, or that y'all have finished y'all's last game of the semester? What are some plans moving forward?
Yeah, we want to not take our foot off the gas pedal. We want to keep scrimming, keep doing vibe review, try and broaden our arsenal of what we can play to make sure we're a well-rounded team going into next semester.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I mentioned a little bit, and I really like from you guys, is that even though there was a difference that you could tell between the enemy team and yourself, you were playing compositions that are pretty much meta in every single map, right? So is this kind of how you have it set it up? So in each map, you already know what you're going to be playing?
Yeah, every map we have like a playbook we like to refer to. So we have a general base composition that fits that map, and then based on what the enemy's playing, we adjust based to make sure we have the best matchup we can have.
Well, I mean, I don't think you can have too many complaints, especially with the performances you have put on, at least for the first 2 maps. A little bit of a disappointing Volskaya, but certainly not from Marist's end, I would say. Overall, an excellent game to watch here. We don't have too many more questions for you. Our interview segment almost as fast as that third map. However, do want to give you the opportunity before you go to shout out anybody. That could be yourself, that could be your team, the opposing team, whoever you feel.
I want to shout out my dad because he's in the chat every game and has been very supportive of me playing esports, which, you know, not all parents are, so I want to shout him out. My team, obviously, for not being there just in game, but outside game whenever there's problems, issues. We're all there for each other. We're very close, very tight-knit family. And just everyone who supports us and watches us play, I appreciate all of them coming to watch.
Some fantastic words, some fantastic shout outs coming in from Ohm. So Ohm, once again, thank you for hopping in here, hanging out with us and answering a few of our questions.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And with that, Dryad, we are ready to conclude Marist versus University of South Alabama. A quick 3-0 to wrap things up. However, folks, we do have more games moving ahead. I do show Iona College versus University of Tennessee. If my eyes aren't treating me poorly, we will be catching that on the other end of this break. So make sure you stick around because we won't want to miss it.